All right, we're going to finally finish up our notes today. And we've already started these, but I'm going to go back and review a little bit. So look up here. Chromebook should be away. I have given you a guide that tells you exactly how you solve each problem. So depending on what it asks. So every question you need to refer back to this section right here. Okay. And all of our formulas, if it does not give you the equation, they all follow this format. Negative 16t squared. They always start with that. And then plus some number, which is the velocity, t, plus some starting point, some number there. So in number 9, starting at number 9, we have an arrow that is fired off a 360-foot cliff. So this number is important. Is this my velocity or my starting point? This is your starting point. It's fired off. That's the height of the cliff at a speed of 95 feet per second, which is also really your velocity here. So 360 is your starting point and 95 is your velocity. So when we write an equation, it's always going to be h of t. H representing height, t represents time. So the height at whatever time that we tell the equation equals negative 16t squared. We always have negative 16t squared. Plus, and then it's velocity times t. So 95t plus my starting height, which is 360. And that's the equation. Maybe your papers will dry enough for you to be able to see it because you get to use it on the test, but I'm not going to let you use somebody else's notes. So I can give you I'll see if I have any blank copies, and you might can copy off of somebody's notes packet before the test. Test will be Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. This is the last lesson, and so we'll do a few days of review. All right, number 10. How long does it take for the arrow to reach its maximum height? So if I look back here, how long is talking about the time that it takes to reach the maximum height. So that's his third bullet. That's the x value of the vertex, and we're going to use the formula negative b over 2a. And it specifically tells you what I told you right here, what lesson we did this type of thing in. But negative b over 2a. So what is my b? 95. Your numbers go A, B, C. Over 2A. What's my A? Negative 16. So negative 95 over 2 times negative 16. If you don't have your calculator, you can come get it. And we get 95 over 32, but we want a decimal. So how do I make this a decimal? Just divide. 95 divided by 32 is 2. We'll just say 97. There is a button that'll convert fractions to decimals and vice versa, but it's a lot easier just to type it in like this. 95 divided by 32. So this is the number of seconds. And then it says, what is the maximum height? So that is asking for the y value of the vertex. And how do we find that? What did we do on the previous questions? Look back at number 6. What did I do? We plugged in the time. So we're going to plug in 2.97. So negative 16 times 2.97 squared plus 95 times 2.97 plus 360. And I still prefer using the store button because you can reuse your equation. Negative 16x squared plus 95x plus 360. So you just lost the last page, not the whole packet.
Yeah.
That's good. If you want to if you want to copy an example or two down on your notebook paper, you can staple it to that so that you have it. And you get 501.02 feet. Questions on how I got that? Questions like this on the test, you're going to be asked the same questions, but you have to be able to look back and see what you did on each question. Here you go. Number 11, what is the height after 1.6 seconds? So what do I do? What is the height after 1.6 seconds? How do I solve this one? Plug in 1.6. So now I'm just going to do 1.6 store x, and then I can go back and just get this equation. I don't have to retype it. That's another good thing about using the store button. If you're using the same equation multiple times.
That's what I did.
Was there at least 5 questions that you knew how to do?
There was more than that.
Good.
I was like the first one down out of the whole room.
Questions on number 11. Number 12. How long does it take the arrow to reach the ground? What are we doing here? Quadratic formula. So the ground, when we looked at the graph on the last video, the last part of the notes, the ground, that represents your x-intercepts. And the quadratic formula is the best way to get that because most of the time it won't factor, and plus you have that negative 16, so quadratic formula just makes it a lot easier. So quadratic formula, if you look back to question number 8, I have the formula written out there, so I'm not going to rewrite the whole formula. I'm just going to go ahead and fill in. So it's negative b. So 95 plus or minus the square root, and then we have in parentheses b squared minus 4 times my a of negative 16 times my c of 360. That whole thing is over 2 times my a of negative 16.
And your a at this part is always going to be negative 16.
On these questions, yeah.
I can remember that whole big thing, how to do that one, but I can't remember how to do a little simple one like that one right above it.
Well, we'll be doing lots of examples, so maybe you'll figure it out. All right. So alpha y equals negative. I'm just going to retype this. Use a plus one of the times. Use a minus the other time. So I've typed this in. Make sure that it matches what you wrote down. And you get negative 2.63. What do we know about negative answers on these types of questions? We don't want those because there is no negative time. Essentially, because this arrow was fired off of a cliff, your y. Here, I'll look at the graph. It's not going to work. Oh. No, I don't have it typed in there. Ignore that. Where it starts is off the ground. So the graph kind of backtracks a little bit. And so that's why you have a negative x-intercept. But really, we don't have that negative part. So just ignore the negative. Go back and change this to a minus. And I don't know if I told you last time, but always with these problems, the plus is going to be the one that gives you your negative number, or 0. The minus is going to be the one that gives you, oh, man. That's what I did.
I
just went back and got this one again. Because the square root's not easy to put back in. The minus is going to be the one that gives you the answer you use. 8.56 seconds. Okay. Questions on that?